One of the absolute hardest things about really achieving any goal that takes more than a week to achieve is staying the course. It's discipline, habits, focus, and consistency, the stuff I talk about here all the time. And most of the advice we hear, though, when it comes to being disciplined is about successful people grinding it out, forcing themselves to do crap they hate for years on end. Well, what kind of life is that, especially if you never may reach the goal you want to? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about something very different. Something that I call the discipline trifecta. What's up, guys? It is Alex Hine here over at modernhealthmonk.com. And I've always been a student of success. So I'm a very ambitious guy. I work a lot and I work hard, but mostly I'm very curious how to get to the top, really in any industry. Whether you're an artist, whether you're a business person, whether you're a mother, or you want to be the best wife or the best husband, or just fit. I'm very curious what kind of trends, what underlying habits, whether they're mental or they're physical, get people to that point. And you know what? I've studied people like Richard Branson, like Mark Cuban, like any of these successful people we hear about quite a lot, even Michael Phelps, the Olympian. I find a lot of interesting similarities. Now, in a previous session, I've talked about Stephen King, for example, and I've gone into detail on his daily kind of routine where he says that at the same time every day, he sets down his pen, his paper, his notes, and his coffee or his tea and his music at the same time every day. And that's kind of that mental, emotional trigger that signals that his day has to begin. So it's not the kind of traditional discipline you think of when it comes to grinding things out, but it is a different kind of ritual and routine to get focused. So the discipline trifecta comes down to three things really. The first one is vision, second is intrinsic motivation, and the third is micro habits. So coming up to the idea of vision, I was reading one of the Jack Canfield books. I think it's Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he's one of the best-selling authors in human history. I think he and his team have sold something like 500 million books, 500 million books. There are not that many people in the world that have sold that many books. And what's interesting to me is that the massive size of his vision is something that no doubt gets him up in the morning. And I'm sure there are people throughout history, whether they were people like Alexander the Great or Genghis Khan, people that had conquered certain parts of the world, whether it was through war or religion or something else, they had some kind of gospel, whether it's a literal gospel in the religious sense or a metaphorical gospel, a message that they wanted to share. Or there was something, just some vision, some big idea that inspired them so much that they wanted to keep going. So the first question for you is, if you're not disciplined and focused right now, what is the vision you want that inspires you so much that'll make you take action? And if the current one doesn't get you to take action, maybe you need a new one. Number two, intrinsic motivation. So I've told the story about Frederick Henry Royce, the creator of the Rolls-Royce, who was so obsessed with perfection and creating the most luxurious car that had ever been in the world that he would actually not eat for 3 days, 3 days at a time, and they hired a young boy to follow him around with bread and milk to prevent malnutrition. Now, his malnutrition was actually so severe that in the end of his life, it actually played a role in his early death. So think about that. For so many decades, he was obsessed with what he did so much that rather than forcing himself to create perfection, one of the most luxurious cars in the world now, he actually was just naturally motivated to do it. You don't hear anything about the pain and suffering there. He just loved it. So the question is, people ask me, how do I get motivated to exercise or motivated to do XYZ goal? And the truth is, you don't. You do things that already motivate you. Thing number three, micro habits. Think about the motivation right now. If you said you're going to work out 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, think about that. Just be in your body and tell me how that feels right now. Now imagine you said, I'm going to work out 20 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. What's the difference? What do they feel like? One probably makes you feel resistance. You feel sluggish, right? Because it's a big task. The third thing is, if you just do micro habits and you're not doing really massive changes, it's going to be easier to be disciplined. Because even though you're not being more disciplined, what you're talking often about is mental resistance. So if you're doing something, a habit or a process or something to get to your goal, and there's a lot of resistance to doing it, we often say we lack discipline, but there's often a lot more going on behind the scenes. All right, so this is your tiny habit for today. If you're having a hard time being disciplined to reach whatever goal it is, whether it's going to the gym or doing something else for your life, do this discipline trifecta. Write all three down. Do you have all three of them in place? Do you have the vision? Do you have the intrinsic motivation? Do you have the micro habits? If yes, if you have all three of those, then good, you're probably doing a good job. If you don't, then maybe you know why it's a little bit harder to get up in the morning or go to the gym or go do something to improve your relationship or something else. But that's where I would start. So I hope that helps. Click the Monk Dude right there to subscribe. You'll get the next video when it's out. Come visit me over at modernhealthmonk.com. Enter your email to get that guide, 5 daily habits to help you lose your next 10 pounds. And if you like this kind of tiny daily habits approach, check out my book on Amazon. It's called Master the Day. And if you get the book and send me a receipt to Alexander at modernhealthmonk.com, I'll send you a 2-hour bonus video training course for free. All right? So go to those 3 things now, comment below, and I'll catch you in the next video.